Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Eddie Marcus here again. My purpose here today is to share with you, if possible, something that would kind of help us understand the situation that we're in, so it might not seem so homely for us. You know, I made some notes because there are some things as spokesman and advocate that I want to speak to you about. And there are all kinds of people who are very intelligent, who speak to the people who you would consider of intelligentsia. They got the big words and they got the subject matters that people like that engage themselves in, indulge themselves in, that they might use as analogies that are easily understood. But for just the main street people, the general population, many of us who haven't even gone to college or trade school, many of us have, but some of us just get out of high school and we try to find a walk in life. You know what we're talking about. And so we don't really understand certain things that happen. We basically just sit back and observe things as they happen and just follow suit. Don't ask too many questions. And if we don't like it, we'll just act like we don't like it, but we don't do anything about it. And some of those things kind of can help if we had a little bit of understanding. And so I'm trying to say to my general population, those of us who are around the street, and that we are not the smartest people in the world, but we got sense enough to understand at our level. When we talk about politics, what are we really talking about? I mean, what's really going on? Well, it has been said that politics has to do with the way that people living in groups make decisions, how they make agreements between the people, and that this working together in groups, and this is the way that they establish cities, the same way you establish countries. So that, to give you just a small sense of politics, we are people working out some ideas of how we're going to achieve certain things. Now, that is just the scope, but you break that down into certain specifics, and for the ones that we experience here in America, we talk about conservatism. Conservatism is like a leg of politics, and when we speak of conservatism, we're speaking the information has been given, that should I say, that the holding of political views for conservatism that favors free enterprise. Now, free enterprise, you know, people want to do their own thing or come together with other groups and engage in particular endeavors, and they don't want any major hang-ups. They want to be able to engage themselves freely. And not only that, they believe in free private ownership, should I say. Private ownership. You know, I can own this yacht. I can own this house. I can own this land. I don't know about that. But that's what the reference is about. Conservatism, holding on to political views that favors free enterprise and private ownerships and socially traditional ideas. That's what they say, that conservatism. And this is the ideas that certain people want to conform to. And usually they say, well, I'm going to go to the city hall, and I'm going to advocate for whatever we're talking about. I'm going to take the conservative perspective. But then there are those others, they call them liberals. Liberals, you heard of liberals, right? They would call them left wing. But liberalism, well, what is that? Well, the message says that it's a political and moral philosophy based on the rights of the individual. And what is the right of the individual? Well, for me, I can say to you as spokesman and advocate, is basic human rights for all people. That's number one. It means also liberty. And sometimes you want to talk about what liberty is for. Liberty, my friends, all of us. And the message says that it is a state of being free within a society. Free from oppression. That's liberalism. Free from restrictions by authority on one's way of life, behavior, or political viewpoints. Now, can you imagine how this must affect liberalism when you start talking about LBQG? Can you imagine what that must mean to a conservative? Conservative, as far as they're concerned, this is not a traditional thing. And they don't want to have anything to do with it. And liberalism says, hey, these are individuals, got the same rights and freedom as any other individual, and no one has the authority to be able to impose anything on someone else to this degree or at this level. And, well, that's where the problems come. You know what I mean? And then there's another group. These are the independents. They vote for a candidate on the issue. Is there going to be more money? Is there going to be more jobs? Well, I'm going to vote for you on this and that. Now, there are other things that you do I can't stand, but I like this, I like that. So it doesn't matter whether you're a conservative or a liberal. For the independent, if you're doing something that they want done, that's where their vote is going. They're not voting for the tribe. And this is, my friends, basically lines us up to some other things. When you got politics and you're dealing with people who got different views about different things, and yet every last one of them want to have their views met, only this one to have their ideas met, it causes somebody else pain and suffering. But one says, well, it's okay. If you find yourself in the end game with pain and suffering, that is the way it was designed to be. Then another perspective is, no, nobody's supposed to be suffering. It should be set up in such a way that using all of our minds, focusing on a perspective that is common to us all, we should be able to derive a conclusion that would empty out all of this ugliness, all of this cancerous stuff, and bring to us that which each of us, by ourselves, on ourselves, would grant ourselves. If we had that authority and the power to give it to us, that's what we would do. And we do have that power. And when we say that from the liberal perspective, that's what you are saying. You got the opportunity now to express your power. Where in the conservative, you don't. Well, that should take us to a different place. And it has more or less to do with let's talk about some of the systems of government, since we just got through talking about politics and stuff like this. Some of the systems we talk about might be democracies. You know, they always say how democracies are. But to my general public, what do we actually think about when we refer to democracies? Well, the message says that it's a system of government by the whole population of all the eligible members of the state, typically through representatives. But it is, my friends, a system of government here in America, we say by the people, by the people, for the people, of the people, by the people, for the people. Somewhere in there like that. And democracies, all right? Now, we know who've been here for a minute, know exactly what the reality of that is. But that is what they call democracies. But then there are others, because not all people want to even deal with that. Some of them got monarchies. Monarchies usually think when you have the kings and the queens and stuff like that, but it's a system of government by, excuse me, it's a form of government in which a person is head of state for life or until abdicated. A person. Now, you know, in this country, we wouldn't go for that. Or would we? Yet there are places where that is practiced. And then that's only opening the door for a different kind of a system. And this has to do with authoritarianism. Authoritarianism, which is the blind submission, just the blind submission to authority and the repressing of individual freedoms of thoughts and action. Now, for Americans, we know what that basically means, because Donald Trump reminds us, if we have forgotten, and teaches us and introduces us, if we never knew, what that authoritarian stuff is. But that's not only what Donald Trump is concerned about, but that's basically what it is. It gets much deeper than that. It goes into all little branches with little switches. But then there's another one called what? If you're talking about authoritarianism, then there is another group called totalitarianism. What does that mean? It means exactly what it says. Total control. And there are people in the world. Sometimes when you hear talk about China, you think that's what it is. When everybody's been indoctrinated to the same thing. Or sometimes you might want to think that total control is where you go and people just are murdered and have no voice in anything. Because if they did, or if they expressed it, that means they would be murdered. And that can happen in the United States, that can happen in Russia, that can happen in any place on earth. People bold enough to do something, what would they end up doing eventually? Well, look at it. It ends up, what's happening with Israel? We got the Israeli and the Palestinian conflict that's going on. I mean, people hurting each other, bombing each other. And I don't even want to really talk about what's happening in Ukraine with Russia. All of that, my friends, is a reflection of what's going on in the world. All of this is a reflection of what's going on in the world. And what does that mean? It's a reflection of how men run this earth. It's a reflection of how men run this earth. And to some who see and want better, it has failed. Man has failed. To others, many of them, the man doing a good job. Doing a very good job. And to others, it just doesn't make any difference. They haven't given it any thought. And that's where we are. And if you think about anybody that takes it deeper than that and want to talk about a change and start talking about a way that works for everybody, a way where democracies and totalitarianism and authoritarianism and monarchies and dictatorships, everything fails. And all of the people want to see their satisfaction in life. Then that requires a different action. That requires a change in what's going on. But like I was talking to a guy and asked him, I said, why, what is it that makes people go the opposite direction? And he says, because they don't know what's hidden over on the grass, which means that they don't know the truth. And so they don't know the truth, that means they've basically been deceived if they look at a different kind of way. And if anybody ends up coming up trying to exploit that which was hidden, they had their hands behind their back, and they are probably the ones that was doing the deceiving, and they are the ones that's taking advantage of all the pain and suffering that's going around in the nation. Now, I don't know if I want to take you to the next step, or should I? Yeah, let me just talk it, because since I'm saying something. Now, let me just tell you what it means. I want you to think, ladies and gentlemen, what I just shared with you. These systems are expressions of men who don't give a asshole about you. They want to use you because all of the systems of the world are designed to exploit. All of the systems of the world are designed to make those who got superior to those who don't. And that allows for a door to open that says in order to get, you do whatever is necessary to get. You do whatever is necessary to get so you don't have to be on the bottom. And that's the expression of man. Let me give you an example. I was listening to a program on the soapbox. And the subject was, who rules the world? Then I thought about 8 billion people, at least, give or take, on earth. And you say, who rules the world? And in this particular documentary, they set aside 10 families connected together that is an expression, a reality of who dominates and controls what's going on in the world and the world's people. Now, they started with number 10. We call the Koch brothers. I don't know where the Koch brothers originate, but we do hear a lot of the Koch brothers in America. But I'm sure the Koch brothers are known in many countries because they are considered the number 10 richest persons or families in the world, with an estimate of about $68 billion. $68 billion. $68 billion, ladies and gentlemen. This number 10. 10 people. 8 billion folks. Now, let's go to number 9. Ambanian family. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong, but I'm coming close. They, my friends, I'm not going to tell you what the businesses that they are into. That is for a different period in time. Right now, I just want to draw attention to them. But this is a family in India. India, you know how we always say how poor India is money. A lot of folks used to say you had to send clothes to India because all you saw was poverty, 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 poverty. But then you can't, you know, they used to show Africa. All we saw was people running around with bones in their ears and nose. And so you don't really know what's going on. You only know what they want you to know. But in India, this family has $85 billion. $85 billion. A family. A family. $85 billion in India. Number 9. Now then, let's go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's see who number 8 is. Number 8 is the Bettencourt. The Bettencourt family. I might be pronouncing it wrong. But they possess and have access to over 92.7 billion. 92 point. Now we got one 68 billion, 85 billion, 92 billion. They tell me $1 billion is a lot of money. I never, do you know? But all of this, wow. And I haven't even gotten to number 7 yet. Number 7 is down in Mexico. The Slim family. Mexico? They used to say Mexico was Pope. But anyway, they say Mexico got the Slim family roughly around 95.1 billion. Billions. And that's, I just give you about 3 or 4 families. Billions and billions. 8 billion people on Earth. Then we go down to number 6. The Worthan family. Now what are their value? Their value is so much that one portion of their business is worth 70.5 billion. And that's not the main amount. They didn't give the main amount. Kind of made me upset a little bit because I wanted to know the main amount. And I didn't have time to do that further research. And you can look it up now. You got some idea of what we're talking about. Now the next family, number 5, in ruling the world, who responsible to the conduct, really responsible, and when you look at it, really responsible for the way the world is. These people rule the world, and they really are responsible for, I don't care about the jobs, or everything that they do is to make them money. And their failures represented in crime and violence and terror and war and well, number 5 is the Mars family. Nobody said, well, this man is into care now. How he's into this war and stuff. You see, all of this money is connected. All of this money is connected, ladies and gentlemen. This Mars family, what they're talking about? Over $126 billion. Somebody said, well, look at all the people they employ. Yes, they employ all these people. Like I said, they are the rulers. They are the ones that, the people with the money, the governments and stuff like that, the people with the money running the government, people. I don't care who you vote for or put in office. The people with the money controls what these people can do when they get to office. And what you see is what you got. And these 10, let me go to number 4. Number 4 is the Walton family. Walmart. Ooh. Now, Walmart represents over $250 billion. $250 billion. Then there's another group, number 3, Arnott family. They represent $240 billion. I must have left something off because it went under the other. And then everybody knows about the Rothschilds. They're not number 1. The Rothschilds in this survey is number 2. And they represent $400 billion. $400 billion. And the next one, number 1, ladies and gentlemen, do you know who it is? The number 1 richest family on earth. 1.4 trillion family with an estimate of $8 trillion. Man, Saudis out in that desert with these camels, you know, and all of this luxury, gold, everything. Now, Look here, ladies and gentlemen. 68 billion, 85 billion, 92 billion, 95 billion, 70 billion, 126 billion, 250 billion, 240 billion, 400 billion, and 8 trillion. 8 trillion. 8 billion people. And the world is full of pain and suffering and hunger, lack of education. This, my friends, is the result of these families. These families are controlling what happens. Now, we the people allow that to happen because we are ignorant. We don't know what's over there behind the grass. We don't know what is behind the back of the one that's deceiving us. But we do know one other thing, that this world, and ladies and gentlemen, this is where I come in and tell you, this is why I tell you that we're living in hell. This is why I tell you we're living in hell. The American history tells us that when America began, at least, it's when those guys came over here and started messing with the natives. The natives were a different kind of people than those that came here. Those who came here researching, reaching out, looking for something. Those who were already here, as far as they were concerned, the ones that were here, I don't know whether they were looking for something elsewhere or looking for something in their space. I'm sure they were. That's what we all do. But these came branching out, looking for something outside of their area, trying to find what they could. And when they saw something, when they even saw people doing something, then they would smile and skin and grin and shake people's hand and say nice, wonderful things about them. Get these people's respect. And when the people drop their guards down, if they ever had any up, then they get slapped in the face. They get exploited and taken advantage of. To the extent that you would kill them to take what they got so you could say that you own it, that you some big shot now. My friends, this is what these 10 families are about. They are some of the most honored and recognized and respected families on the face of the earth. And yet, they are the ones that's keeping this nation, keeping this world in the chaotic position that it is in every day. But we don't know that. Who's going to tell us that? These folks give money to charities. These folks not giving nothing. They're not giving nothing. And this is the game that's played. This is to make you think. This is to cover up the fact what they have just done to you. Do you know everything that the richest people on the face of the earth can do and are doing? It was designed by the creator of this whole universe, that if that can take place, then that can be experienced by every person on the earth, and it doesn't have to be a sin. It doesn't have to be a representation of the devil unless it is set up this way. The way it is set up, the outcome, these 10 families can do anything, and others. That is the devil's way. That is man's way. And only one way worked for God, the real God. And that's when everybody can do it. But see, man say to hell with that. And when you come to that awakening and you stand up as an individual, because you are required, the straight and narrow, they can't help but in this hell kill you. They got no other recourse but to kill you. And every time they kill you, you're supposed to draw by that death millions of others into the insightness of the reality of God. But does that happen? No. Why? Because I really don't know. I really don't know. I tell you what, all I can say is this. If I had not received miracles in my life, and when I say miracles, I'm talking about things that human beings can't do, that benefited me in such a way that I am grateful enough to not deny it. If it hadn't happened for me, I would be just like you. And I say that because I was just like you. But the miracle came and showed me what I had never seen before. that there is an invisible power that can work a miracle so fantastic that the miracle cannot be denied, and you just don't know how in the world it happened. But it happened. And so that gives me authority, as far as I'm concerned, to stand before you and tell you that all of the businesses and all of the circumstances that expresses itself in every land on earth, it is of people using goodwill to take advantage of other folks. People using goodwill to take advantage over other folks until it could start at a low level of just exploitation to the point of demanding that you ask no questions. I'm talking about a nation. Ask no questions. You just bend down and say, yes, sir. And to change that, or want to change that, means you're going to be killed. Now, is there a significance in your being killed? You answer that. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, I think I'm going to leave this because I stayed a little bit longer than I had planned. But those two things I wanted to share with you because I'm thinking they are important. And for those of you who stayed as long as I took, I want to thank you. For those of you who paused and will be coming back, I want to thank you. For those of you who looked at it and say, I don't want to hear that shit, that's fine. I'll talk to you later when you grow up a little bit. Until next time, this is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for you. Till next time, goodbye.